Hello and welcome to Films and Fandoms with Kaylee. Before I get into this episode, Navco would like to thank its sponsors, West PA Systems, the electrical design build contractor for your 21st century home and business, and Dakota, the DuBois Area Council of the Arts. I have a very special episode for today because not only will I be talking about one of my favorite shows, Leverage, but I have a very special guest on today. One of my favorite humans, fellow chaos bringer, teller of bad ideas, and my good friend, Alex. Hi.
Hi. And yes, I just did that. I just covered my face because I'm like embarrassed.
Oh, don't be. It's okay.
I told you this was probably gonna happen.
It's okay. Yeah, we met actually. Oh, we actually haven't. Oh, we actually haven't met in real life. This is actually our first voice conversation that we've had. So
just kind of real life-ish.
It is kind of
via the interwebs.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really hardest thing to say.
Instagram. Right, so
that was a really hardest thing to say.
Because you did say that before. So today, yeah.
Oh,
so we are both fans of the show Leverage. So I had asked Alex to come on so that we can talk about this together because we both love the show and you share the things you love with the people you like. So here we are. So before we actually get into them.
And yes, I am giggling like crazy.
It's okay. I am too. It's good. It's all good. Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of this episode, we're going to be talking about the first episode of Leverage called The Nigerian Job. And the bit of a summary for this episode is a desperate aerospace CEO asks Nate Ford to leave a team of expert thieves to recover airplane designs from the rival company that took them. It is directed by Devlin. And our writers, John Rodgers, who's also the creator, and Chris Downey, who's another creator. And this aired December 7th, 2008.
That makes me feel old.
I would have been 5 when this aired.
Oh man, I was like 6 or 7.
Oh wow.
I was little.
I was too. Okay. So we open this episode with we meet our main protagonists. And I say protagonist and not the hero. Because one thing you will very quickly learn about Nathan Ford is that he is not a nice man and is a bastard.
He had a very punchable face in the beginning.
He did.
Okay, that's my Elliot coming out again.
It's okay.
And I also wanted to tase him. Okay, now that's Parker. Calm down.
Right.
No, but seriously, that's what I thought. I'm like, can I just tase him, please?
Yeah,
you jerk.
Yeah, he was always a bit of a jerk until, to be honest, I didn't really like Nate. And he was an interesting character for sure, but he wasn't a very likable character, which I guess is kind of the point of the character. Is that he wasn't meant to be likable.
He reminded me of like a really obnoxious but really like arrogant jerk face of like a drunk uncle.
Drunk? Yeah, well, He was drunk 90% of the time, so that's fairly accurate. Right. Back to the episode. So Nathan Ford, played by Timothy Hutton, is an ex-assurance investigator, and he's drinking at an airport bar. And he is met by a man we later learn is Victor Domenech, who is played by Saul Rubinek. He may know from Warehouse 13.
That's where I know him from. I'm like, his face is so familiar. I'm like, oh crap, he was the geeky guy.
Yeah, to quote Steve, he has one of those, oh, it's that guy. He has one of those, oh, it's that guy faces.
True. And voices, actually.
Yeah. And it is very obvious that Victor knows who Nate is, and he starts talking about all these different things that Nate did for his insurance company. And he says that when Nate needed them, and he kind of trails off, then says, and this is the kind of thing that happened to his family, and starts chilling off again before Nate threatens to punch him in the neck 9 or 10 times.
That's a very Elliot thing of him to do. He's like, oh, I hate you so much.
And also a very Nate thing. Like, you bring up any mention of like IYS or his son, and he's like,
it's a touchy subject. I mean,
it is.
I would
which,
feel
I mean,
like, because he's a dad who lost his only kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that pain that he's feeling. So he's still grieving.
I honestly
at this
could
point.
not either. Like, don't get me wrong, it's justified.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a grieving father at this point.
He is.
When
he just hasn't
decides to poke the bear.
Mm-hmm.
In a bad way.
Yeah.
Not in a badass way with Elliot or Quinn, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious, both of us, by the fact that I'm wearing the black t-shirt bandana combo, and Alex keeps mentioning Elliot, we are both fans of a character we're going to meet here in a few moments.
Wire room glasses. I can't talk.
The wire room glasses. Okay. All right. Continue on. Okay, so Domenech asks Nate what he knows about airplane designs. Nate makes a sarcastic comment like, give me one of those little rulers and a pencil. And then Domenech says that someone stole his airplane designs. And now Nate is under the assumption that Domenech wants him to find them, but Domenech says he knows where they're at, and he wants Nate to steal them back. And we get some lovely shots of Chicago as opening credits roll. All right, so we see
it's like when they do that like pan shot of like Chicago, but I'm like, that's like one of my top places to go. Portland is like my number 2. Like number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And now New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah. Portland, definitely, because that's where they actually filmed most of Leverage.
And
in New Orleans, because that's where they're filming Redemption, yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. I've always joked that I wanted to experience Mardi Gras. Just to say that I
would be like pure insanity. Like
it would be.
Funnily enough, my birthday is literally a week before Mardi Gras starts.
Oh yeah, I remember that because I sent you a YouTube video.
Yep. And I still am not over that. And this is also what we do. We torture each other with like
we do
Tumblr posts, video snippets.
Yeah, that's our friendship, y'all.
The memes of the
memes.
Elliot stare.
Elliot's. You did that to me earlier today.
Yeah.
That gave me the Elliot eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's just that look
It is.
makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a
But also
distinctive look.
I'm like, just punch me in the face and just hug me, please.
Mm.
Odd combination, I know.
Not really.
What is this chaos?
I love it. It's awesome. All right, back to the episode again. All right, so we see the team at night. They meet outside the building. They split off. 3 people heading to the Pearson Aviation building. Nate is heading to a building, adjacent building, getting a bit of his office set up. And then back at the airport, Nate asks Bennett to be sure that Pearson stole his designs. Bennett explains that his lead engineer disappeared with his files. Then a week later, Pearson announced an identical project. And he's also desperate because he's got the shareholders meeting at the end of the month, and he's put a lot of money into it and time into this project. And Bennett shows Nate the files of the crew he's already built, and Nate says he's traced all of them at one time. And it's like, you have Parker? Like singling out Parker. I do want to ask if there's anyone better. It's like, no, but Parker is insane.
20 pounds of crazy, 5-pound bag.
5-pound bag.
I'm sorry, that just happened to pop into my mind when he said Parker.
No, it works perfect. All right. And Diminish tells Nate that's why he needs him. Nate declines, saying he's not a thief, which is something that he repeats throughout the entire season. And Diminish said,
Really, Nate? Really, Nathan?
Yeah, like
you kind of are, because you're the team leader.
Well, that and
dad.
We find out and we find out a bit later that he's like that he ran cons to get his stolen merchandise back. So
gosh dang it. My phone does not want to cooperate. It keeps wanting to fall.
So but Benner says he has thieves, but he needs an honest man to watch them, which is where Nate comes in, is he needs an honest man to basically keep them in line. Which I guess at this point, Nate is an honest man, and he's using his anger and revenge to justify agreeing to this job. Because as we find out here in a bit, Nate's old insurance company, IYS, holds the insurance policy for Pearson. And Bennett asks Nate how badly he wants to screw over the company that let his son die. So I think that's what that was the final straw for Nate to be like, okay, like I'm gonna do this because I want to get back.
And a little quick mention here, when you brought up Bennett saying that he's like, I'm bringing these people to you to kind of help get revenge, so to speak, on the company that basically did your son dirty. Mm-hmm. He brings that up in another episode, like 2 or 3 episodes later. He brings that up again when he's in jail for freaking breaking the law because they set him up for failure. And it's like he uses that against Nate. And Nate's like, I don't give a crap. You're a bad man. I just did that to get revenge on the fact that my company, my former company, basically was responsible for my son's death and for my divorce.
Yeah, because
I could not imagine the anger that he's feeling at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't he just backhand Bennett right then and there?
Well,
because he knew it wouldn't end well.
Yeah, well, that, and he probably knows that, like, he probably thinks the only way he's gonna, like, feel better is by taking a run at his old insurance company, which kind of comes
with their tagline. because the one way to harm somebody, not physically like Elliot, or by stealing from them like Parker, or hacking into their databases like Hodge do.
All that stuff's temporary.
Yeah. The one way to ultimately hurt somebody is either attack their character, attack their family, or attack them personally, or all three.
Or attack their company.
And at this point, those three that I mentioned, that's what Devlin is doing to Nate. And he is a seedy little rat of a human being at this point that I would just love to yeet off a cliff.
So continuing with this little chat that Devlin and Nate are having, Nate says that Devlin's plan is not going to work, as the people he's hired are all soloists. They never work for him. Devlin says that they will, for $300,000 each. Which I guess back in 2008, that might have been a different amount. That was worth different. Because keep in mind, this show came out of the 2008 financial crisis.
Yeah, so what roughly, like they said, like about like $3,000 for each one.
300,000 each. For each of them.
For each one. So now that roughly would be, in today's market, probably about $750 per person.
I would not know how to do that math, so thank you for doing that for me.
Yeah, that's just a guesstimate. I'm like, it wouldn't be worth it. I would rather freaking sell my guitars for that amount of money. But I wouldn't, because my guitars are my babies. And, oh, that reminds me. I asked Christian via awkward segue, I know.
No, it's okay.
I asked him like outright on Twitter, it's like, hey, what's your oldest guitar? And he's like, my oldest guitar is like 22 years old. I'm like, damn, your oldest guitar is as old as I am. That makes me feel like a baby.
Keep that in consideration. Okay, I'm 19. Okay. And you're like, what, 22? 23. And we're both obsessing over a man who's almost 50 freaking years old.
That could be our, like, literally, he could be our father.
Now you see what the problem is here.
But, I mean, have you seen him? It's pretty obvious why. That damn hair of his.
Trust me, we're gonna get into that. All right. So.
Okay, now my mental Elliot is glaring at me.
Okay. Stop it. All right, continuing on. Okay, so Devlin also, as I mentioned a bit earlier, Nate also entices Nate by telling him that LYS holds the assurance, or that he'll double the money for running the crew, and it's off the books, and there's a bonus because his old insurance company, LYS, holds Pearson's insurance policy. And that's when Devlin brings Nate's son into this. And Nate is trying to get everyone's attention by saying clear comms. And the first crew member we meet is my boy Alec Hardison, played by Aldis Hodge. Who I love.
I love him. He's awesome.
He is. Boy.
And that boy is like, what, 6'3" or something like that?
He's tall.
And I'm small. So it would be literally like two of me stacked up.
Me too.
To equal his height.
I'm 4'6".
Okay, for you, it'd probably be 2.5. Sorry, not sorry.
No, it's okay. But for those of you who don't know Aldis Hodge, he was on an episode of The Walking Dead. He's in The Invisible Man.
And he was also on an episode of season 1 Supernatural,
Oh,
he's the one that stabbed Sammy.
Yeah, he played Jake Teeley, the one who stabbed Sam Winchester in the season 2 finale.
I just wanted to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is funny is I didn't make that connection. Get out of my head. For a while.
And then that makes two Leverage alums that have been on Supernatural.
Yeah. Well, because you got
Aldis and now CK.
Yeah, and also Mitch Pileggi, who played one of the CEOs they take down in a later episode,
was their grandfather.
He played their grandfather, and he's on Walker with Jared too.
Yeah, playing his dad. Weird. Oh, speaking of which, I watched the recent episode.
I saw the clip. I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw the clip.
Like I was geeking out so hard when I heard it's like, oh, point of no return. I was like, oh, damn this, and I'm like, I looked down at my shirt. I'm like, son of a bitch. And that's Dean coming out. Dang it. I am a mash of pretty much all male characters at this point.
Me too.
Oh my goodness.
All right. But it's also what's kind of cool about Aldis though, in this episode, he was 21. Like he had literally just turned 21 when he got
He was just
cast.
a baby. He was a baby adult.
He was a baby adult. And now he's all grown up, owning his own production company. And
he was the youngest out of all 4 of the guys. CK was the second oldest.
Yeah, he's right behind Tim.
Yeah. And then Bethy.
Gina.
I love her.
I love Bethy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Gina and then Bethy.
Yeah. But you also will see Aldis in the new Black Adam movie that's coming out, which I don't usually watch DC movies. I'm a Marvel fan. But I may just watch Black Adam just to see.
I watched the trailer for it and it looks good. Too.
It does. I saw Aldis in the Hawkman costume. I was like, oh, Hardison! Like Hardison's living his nerd dream, and I love it.
It's kind of funny.
Anyways, all right. So Alec Hardison's skill set is described as internet and computer fraud, aka the hacker. And he's also offended by the tech Nate gave him. Like, nah, bro. Like, this is total VH1. Like, I got something nicer. Because, millennials.
Yeah, the facial expressions though.
Yeah.
That's what killed me in this episode. Like when I rewatched it,
everyone's
I forgot
facial
like the subtle facial expressions, including when CK looks at Aldis like, murder you. You can see that little
that look a lot.
Yeah, that little twitch in his eye, like he's trying not to break.
Yeah, like his eyebrow twitches or something.
I know, and that's his like, I'm in character, but I'm trying not to break. But there was one time he smiled when he wasn't supposed to, and that was him breaking. And it was with Bethy.
Of course it was. Okay. So, anyway, all right. Continue on before you can accept. All right, so Nate says no surprises. Hardison tells him he's been doing this since high school, and he's capped discipline. So then we get Hardison's flashback to New York City 5 years prior, where we see security headed to a hotel room because Hardison's checked in under the name Mick Jagger. Then we see Hardison sitting on a couch, surrounded, or like a couch bed thing. I couldn't exactly tell what it was, or if it was like one of those futon things. Surrounded by 3 women dressed as Leia in the slave bikini, trying to Jedi mind trick the security. Like, this is not the room you're looking for. Like doing the wave motion.
The freaking geeky references in the first freaking episode.
Oh, there's gonna be so many geeky references throughout the entire series.
And then it gets
Star
worse in
Trek.
Redemption.
So many Star Trek ones. So many. Doctor Who. Just so many.
Yes. Oh,
So
the
many.
Star Trek references are like they went over my head when I first watched it, but now I point it out to myself and I start cracking up. Because considering who one of the lead guys kind of like teammates on it, Jonathan Frakes, aka number one.
Oh yeah, Frakes.
Aka my
Frakesy.
favorite. Yes.
Frakesy. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I love him. He's awesome.
So we get Hardison explaining a bit of the comms, and it's a bone conduction earpiece mic, and it works off the vibrations in your jaw. And he passes the comm to Elliot, and they of course bicker, with Elliot saying he's not as useless as he looks. Hardison's like, I don't even know what it is you do. Then we meet Elliot Spencer, our favorite character, played by our boy Christian Kane, or as I may be referring to him at some point, fucking Oklahoma, because
Oklahoma.
That's an audio commentary joke, but it's actually pretty accurate if you hear some of the shenanigans Christian gets up to behind the scenes.
It's hilarious.
It is. Oh, actually, speaking of Saab Rubinek, there's an episode later coming up where Christian gets, or where Elliot comes into the briefing. He's all busted up, and they have to explain why. And Elliot says, well, how was I supposed to know it was a lesbian bar? But the reason they had that line was because
freaking Oklahoma man was playing, what was it, like football in cowboy boots.
He was playing poker. No, he was playing poker with Timothy Hutton and Sal Rubinek. And then dumbass decided to go outside and throw the football around in cowboy boots.
Cowboy boots and like basically ate shit, literally.
His face is pretty busted up.
Yeah, and he has like a scar above his eyebrow from that incident.
Yeah, but as John Rodgers says, the shit kicker genes are strong with him because he heals pretty fast and he has like a Wolverine healing factor.
Oh man.
All right. Anyways, Elliot is also known as the retrieval specialist or the hitter. And we get his flashback to Belgrade 3 years earlier, walking into a cafe, like he owns the joint, telling a large group of goons he's there to collect the merchandise. And of course, he's got that Texas, Oklahoma drawl going on there. Lots of guns are pulled on.
Yeah, quick little segue with that. I wrote, Elliot walks in wearing wire rim glasses, and I'm just like, and then because of when TK read for Elliot, he read that. He's like, Elliot walks into a bar, sipping tea, wearing wire rim glasses, and he's like, he folds it, threw it, hit the couch, went behind the couch, and he's like, come on, try it again. And he's like, they basically kicks the shit out of everybody else.
Oh yeah. Oh
my god.
Oh yeah. Everybody's dead but the head goon, and then he just slides across a baseball card. And it's freaking,
I give up.
His shitty smirk.
Oh, that classic smile. Like,
I'll call it the shit-eating smirk.
Exactly.
Because that's what it is.
Cocky smile of like, I gotcha.
Now you know.
It's also really cute.
It was. But now you know why we're obsessed with Christian Kane. Because
and his damn blue eyes, like seriously.
He does. And just his rattlesnake smile and his charm. I love it.
Elliot song. Okay. Literally, that's the one of the songs that I think of when yeah.
It's just a Christian Kane song, so that's why.
Yeah, and I think of Elliot. when I hear it. I'm like, that's
I
totally
do
him.
too.
That and Good Old Boys. For obvious reasons. Like,
yeah.
when they're camping out in Lucille.
No, we can't do that yet. No, we can't do that yet. We have
know.
to wait to do that.
I know. That's like later. But that's what I think of. It's like just them jamming out. Like, I wonder if that actually happened, like behind the scenes.
Or just
like ever.
Or watch out, is a song. Just a good old boys. Never meaning no harm. But all you ever saw.
I can't even sing it without like cracking up because freaking Supernatural ruined it for me.
Damn it, Johnson. Okay. All right, back to the episode again. Okay, so then we meet Parker, played by the lovely Beth Riesgraf. He was hanging upside down asking for an earbud. And Hardison, little flirty is like, you can have the whole box. And Elliot's like, what are you going to do when she finds out you live with your mom?
Look at disgust on his face. Priceless.
And he's like, really? Like, we're professionals. Don't be flirting on the job. Look, Elliot hasn't freaking flirted on the job before. Let's be real.
Really, buddy? Really?
But then we get my favorite Hardison line. Age of the Geek, baby. We run the world.
That was my notification tone for a while.
Age of the Geek, baby. We run the world. No. I actually have a pillow. I don't know where it went. Do I have it? I have a pillow somewhere that I got for Christmas that says Age of the Geek, baby. We run the world.
Oh,
I took him. Yeah, I got it for
see the poster behind you.
Wait.
Making me uncomfortable.
Oh, sorry.
In the eyes. Doing the freaking eyes.
Just don't look. Just don't look at the eyes. Just don't look at the eyes. It's okay. But I like how they do Parker's like description because it goes from like security circum to infiltration to alter, and then just says thief. And then we get her flashback, which is a man and a woman arguing. They're slapping, and guys telling young Parker that she can't have Bunny unless, or she's like, you thought I would never find this? You don't get Bunny until you're good, or you don't get Bunny, so or something. So be a good girl, or become a better thief.
Yeah, and
then the house explodes.
Then I figure out that was actually Archie talking to her. Her adoptive father is like, you have to become a better thief before you can get this.
You say, yeah, because that wasn't Archie in the flash. But is Parker setting up a rig and saying the last time she used the rig was Paris in 2003. Elliot's asked, there's like two separate conversations here. Elliot's asking if the comms are safe. Nate's asking Parker if she stole the Caravaggio. And Hardison assures Elliot it's safe, just if he experiences nausea, weakness, and right side strokiness. Nell's like, you're precisely why I work alone. Nate gets him to focus, says they're going to go on his count, and Parker, no freelancing. Elliot assures him they're professionals. Nate goes to count down, but Hart interrupts, saying, oh, he doesn't want to be our pal. Nate's like, all right, in like 5, 4, and then Parker yelling
She
in
gone.
the light. She gone. That's exactly what Elliot's like. She's gone as she's like jumping, running down the building. It's like, son of a. And then Hardison and Elliot look over as Parker's trying to the building. And what does Elliot say?
My favorite thing. Oh, she's 20 pounds and crazy in a 5-pound bag. Which is true.
It is true.
She's a whole lot of crazy in a tiny package.
She is. And we get some thief lingo here that I do not know because Parker's upside down, realizing the vibration detectors are on inside the office she's getting into. Nate tells her no cutting, use the binary. No idea what that means. Hardison and Elliot are making their way to the elevator shaft. Parker like cuts a circle out of the glass, gets her way in, flips off the desk, catching a pencil before it falls on the floor, which I thought was cool. And Parker gets to a control box and sends Elliot and Hardison down the elevator shaft.
Oh, and I said, I had the quote, no cutting Parker, and I put, Nate uses the dad voice.
Uses the dad voice. He does have a bit of a dad voice when he's talking to Parker.
Exactly. And I'm like,
he's like, Parker, no freelancing. Is that not like how a dad would be like no, Timmy, like, don't touch like, that.
Exactly. It's like, sweetheart, behave.
Like, Parker, behave yourself.
Now you see why my OC is Natasha is like so friggin' bratty.
Yeah.
Because of the dad voice.
Well, my OC has a mom voice. Especially when it comes to Elliot.
Blushing. I am blushing like crazy.
I will probably get into what we were just talking about there at the end. Okay, so Lee asks about security. Parker says they don't see anything. Ellie and Hardison make their way to the server room where Hardison puts a gizmo in the electronic lock. Nate asks if there's any chatter. Parker says there's no chatter. Then Nate realizes that they're 4 guards short because there's 8 on the duty roster. Elliot asks if there's a problem. Nate says maybe and has Parker run the cameras. And Hardison realizes that it's a 10-digit password to get into the lock to get into the server room. And Parker discovers that the 4 guards are doing their walkthrough now they're early. And as Nate realizes, it's because the playoffs are going on. So they're doing a walkthrough an hour early to watch the playoffs. Which would realistically make sense.
I love what they come up with. Like after they realize, like, wait a minute, they're watching a game. Hold on, we have to reanalyze this. Hold on, we need to.
And there's like, Nate going
improv,
going to a whole another plan here. And Nate's like, okay,
the sub plan of the plan.
Yeah, it's a sub plan of the plan. And Parker says they're at the stairwell. And Nate says, okay, we got to squelch them. As the guards find the open door, and Parker makes it so that they can't radio up to the guards at home base. They can't phone home. And then he tells Elliot to clear the zone and use Hardison as bait. And Hardison's so grumpy.
He's like, excuse you?
Hey! Like, they ain't talking about me. I ain't nobody's bait.
I was like, what the hell did you just say to me? And great, my Elliot accent just came out.
Oh, and then we get badass Elliot fight because Hardison, he starts freaking out, and when he goes to leave, he gets cornered, by the four goons. They're pointing guns at him. Then Elliot just comes through the back.
He just struts right behind
And
him.
Artisan holds up the duffel. And he just drops it as Elliot takes on all four guys, knocks them all out before the bag falls to the ground. It takes the magazine out of a gun. Shit-eating smirk on his face. That's what I do.
That little shoulder shrug he does too. At the same time.
Like, he is so proud of himself and is showing off. He is showing off. But that was also the scene where I was like, that's the character I like. Like, that's mine. Like, that's my character. Is that fight scene, that shitty smirk. That's what I do.
Yeah, it's just
I like him.
He's like, that's what I knew. It's like, crap, this cowboy just stole my heart.
Yeah, I always say, like, that was the scene that made me fall in love with Elliot. But the scene that made me fall in love with Christian Kane comes in a later episode, which I told you is my favorite episode, which is the studio job when he's performing. Okay. Fine. It's okay.
That's one of my favorites too. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just like really happy.
Okay. But I can't tell if Hardison's face is in this. He's like impressed, or if he's slightly that maybe a bit too. But I can't tell if he's also slightly like turned on a bit.
Like, damn.
that was a well damn face.
I know.
Too.
It's like,
well damn.
It's the eyes. It's the thing with the eyes that he does. But like, what it's just like, whoa.
Yeah,
and
that too.
The little subtle what Elliot says to him, he's like, that's what I do. And he's just like proud of himself.
Yeah.
The moment of like, okay, now so you ain't talking shit.
Like, you ain't talking shit no more, boy.
It's like, I didn't believe you at first, but now I kind of do. Now I saw it in person.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. All right. Server door unlocks. All right. The door code to get into the building is 8675309.
No, the Tommy Two Tone song. Oh my god, how did I miss that?
That's the door code. There's a couple extra digits at the end, but the main first 10 digits are 8675309. It's for like the second, so it's very easy to miss, but
like, how did I miss that? Like, probably I was just too preoccupied with the Elliotness going on.
With Elliot kicking ass. Right, so they go into the server room, shift the drives. Nate tells them to drop the spike, and they shut down the server, and they go. But Parker says that they got a problem because the guards that Elliot beat up reset the alarms on the roof and the floors above them, so they can't go up. And now it's like, every man for himself, dude. And Harson's like, go ahead, I'm the one with the merchandise. Parker's like, I'm the one with the plan. And Nate's like, I'm the one with the exit. And Nate's like, and I'm the one with the plan. Now I know you children don't play well with others, but I need you to hold it together for 7 more minutes. Now get to the elevator and head down. We're going to the burn scam. And they all go to the elevator. Hardis and Elliot going first. They start changing. Hardis asks if this is plan B. Nate says it's technically plan G. Then Parker comes into the elevator. He's facing the back or the opposite of the door. I'm assuming it's the back. Strips off her shirt and she doesn't have a bra on.
What our boys do is like freaking hilarious.
So I must say, I do appreciate the fact that they're both gentlemen and professional enough to turn away.
What I want to know is how the hell did Aldis and CK not break during that? I would have been on the floor laughing my butt.
I don't know. I would be too, but I'm also pan. So I would also like, okay, that's happening. I don't know what exactly I'm feeling, but I will give you the privacy. But now that image is not out of my head.
Like, okay, I'm gonna need to burn my eyeballs now.
Yeah, and because we know, like, Elliot's a bit of a flirt, and I like getting his flirt on, so I appreciate that. Even though, like, that's who he is, he did like turn to give Parker some privacy.
Yeah, well, I think also
because any other show would have had them like gawking and at Parker,
like checking her out,
checking
like,
her
seriously.
out. But the fact that they're like, oh, and, okay, naked woman, but okay, but this is happening.
Yeah, that subtle little turning around, to me, it's like he kind of had that protectiveness over her, yeah, and that's like the big brother moment.
A bit, yeah.
But it's like,
and it's also Elliot's instincts too, I think, just
because he sees her as pretty much like a child that needs to be protected.
Yeah,
because she can't fight. Not yet.
Yet. Well, at least it's not established.
She doesn't have a taser. I mean,
yeah.
Like, tasing people's fun.
Hardison asks how many plans Nate has, and if he has like a plan M. Nate says, yeah, Hardison dies in plan M. I like
Elliot says, I like plan M, and he just smiled.
And Hardison's look
freaking grin back, again.
Like his look back, like, excuse you.
Fear of like, okay, I'm scared of you now.
I saw it as more of a excuse you.
Mixed with
like, I'm the one who has the files. You really want to do that to me right now? So they get changed. Hardison puts bird makeup on Parker. Elliot gives her a brace. They exit the elevator, and the security guards
freaking crutches. With the crutches. And they're like, don't stare. And he immediately, Elliot immediately moves. I didn't notice it.
Tom, it's fine. No, I was like, no, it's not fine.
Like, but I wonder if this was a directional thing for Christian, or it was just something that he thought of in the moment. But he instinctively, when that person looks at Parker, he moves closer to her, almost immediately. And I'm like, oh, protective big brother.
I know. Well, that could be because it's like, okay, security, he could cause a problem, so I need to be close so I can like get rid of the problem if I need to.
Or push her behind me so I can fight that problem.
But it also makes sense for like the character she's playing, yeah. Or the characters they're playing.
Yeah.
Anyways, they go to leave and meet Nate in the car. And I like Parker tossing the crutch to Hardison. It's like, boop, catch in the car. Like the synchronicity is already there. And this is supposed to be like a one-time thing. Yeah. So it's sun's coming up. Nate's drenched in Hardison. Like, come on, it's only taking you all night. Hardison is like, I have a couple Wi-Fi signals to some crappy bandwidth. Hang on. And he sends the designs. Nate says the money will be in their accounts later today. Hardison's like, did anyone else notice how hard we rocked last night? Now it's like, one show only, no encores. Parker's like, I already forgot your names. And Art's like, it was cool being on the same side. And it's like, we are not on the same side. I'm not a thief.
I'm not a thief. Jinx.
I like Parker says, you're like, come on, Nathan, tell the truth. Didn't you have a little bit of fun playing the Black King instead of the White Knight?
It's like one night. I was like, I chuckled when she did that. And then like the aerial shot of them walking off.
Of the classic overhead bird's eye.
That's so cool.
Well, if you think about it, the Black King, White Knight is like the whole theme for Nate. Throughout the entire series, if you kind of think about it.
He's both in that aspect, in a way.
Right now, because right now he's thinking he's the White King or White Knight. But
when in reality, not so much.
Yeah. To quote the Christian Kane song, he's a different kind of, I was gonna say different kind of knight, but that does not make sense for what the song is about, so scrap that.
Exactly.
Okay, ignore that. Let's keep going. Nate is then woken up by his phone going off. He's laying in bed, knocking over the small liquor.
Oh, did you notice the stack of small liquor bottles on his nightstand and on the floor?
I did see that.
He was passed out drunk.
He was on a bender. He was on a bender.
He was hungover.
And as soon as Nate answered the phone, the manager's like, "You screwed me." And the designs never got to me. And it's like, I know, I watched them go out, but it's just like, I never received anything. And Nate's like, well, I told you not to trust him. And Devlin tells Nate that's what his job was, and he's freezing all the payments. Nate offers to go to straighten out, and Devlin is like, no, do not come here. My company has an airport hangar. I'll text you the address. Meet me there in an hour. So we arrive at the hangar, where Nate arrives at the hangar, where we see Hardison pointing a gun at Elliot, asking what happened to the designs. Elliot's like, what makes you think I know, stupid? And it's like, forget you, man. You did it when you were coming from the elevator. And Elliot's like, yeah, that makes sense. And you had the file every second.
Yeah, I love that they're blaming each other for this.
It's like, hold up, Cujo. I did my part. I transferred the files. What did you do? They saved you from security, Hardison.
Yeah, it's like they didn't realize at that point that Dubinich was in Nate's back pocket, pretty much. At that point, they don't realize that.
Well, they don't realize he's the bad guy either.
Yeah, he's the puppeteer in this problem.
Yeah. And then Elliot's like, you better get that gun out of my face. And I think it cut because the subtitles cut off at this point. But I think Elliot's about to threaten to tear Hardison's arms off. Which makes sense. And then Nate yells and Hardison points the gun at me.
That made me think of the gag reel. He's like, you want me to tear his arm off and beat him with it?
Oh, yes! The season 2 gag reel. There's no gag reel for season 1.
I know. Well, there is, but it's not.
It's not really a gag reel. It's just the deleted scenes.
I know.
And alternative takes the stuff. And Hardison points the gun at Nate. Elliot asks Nate if he did it, as he's the only one who's played both sides. And he's like, it seemed pretty relaxed for a guy with a gun pointed at him. No, it's like, safety's on. And I was like, look, I'm going to fall for that. And it's like, oh yeah, it's like, no, the safety is on. Give me that.
Like, give me the damn thing.
Like, give me the damn gun. And Nate asks if Elliot's armed. Elliot says he doesn't like guns. Then Parker comes in, pointing a gun at him. And Nate points the gun at Parker, but then he sees it's her. He puts the gun down and then lowers it. You know, she comes in saying the money isn't in her account, and that makes her cry in her special anger place.
Elliot's look of
What the hell?
Crazy woman.
Probably.
What the heck?
And Nate lowers the gun like he's trying to grab something from a wild animal. Like he approaches slowly. I'm like, okay,
Like
Parker,
visible fear.
I'm gonna lower the gun. Do not.
The visible. He went into self saving mode at that point. It's like I ain't getting shot. He's like, I ain't getting shot.
Like I'm too hungover for this. I ain't getting shot today.
Not now, anyway.
Yeah. Nate asks if they'd all come there to get paid. Ours is like, hell no, transfer of funds, man. Global economy. Elliot says, supposed to be a walkway. I'm never supposed to see you again. Then Nate's like, he gets kind of creepy in this moment here. I'm not gonna lie.
Kind of dark.
Yeah, because Nate's like, and the only reason you guys are here is because they didn't get paid. And you're pissed off, right? And everyone's looking at Nate like he's gone loco.
Yeah. Oh, and I wrote, I said, you guys didn't get paid. Uh-oh. The only way to get us here in the same place at the same time
is to tell us
no money.
Is
basically what I wrote.
Getting
and
paid.
And then they're like
then
the
cutie.
realization of
shit. Run.
The unanimous group. Oh shit.
Yeah. It was a silent but collective. Oh shit. We gotta go.
Get the hell out. And then it simultaneously blows up.
No, it's hardest and trips as they're running, but Elliot picks him up. He helps him up, like, come on.
Yep, and then
I would say run out of the building explodes.
And I wrote CK's burnt arm hair. Because remember this happened twice. Once then, and then once when their HQ blows up. They hit the mat. They didn't expect it to be that big of an explosion. Singed arm hair, and it's like Bethy was like, I could smell Christian's burnt arm hair.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. Smoke. I didn't know about the burnt arm hair.
Yeah, it was like in a panel. It was in a Con panel.
I haven't seen any of the Con panel stuff.
Like,
I need to see that.
Look it up.
I will.
It's like
I'll have to do that.
2, I think.
I'll have to do that.
Part 2.
Okay.
Of that panel.
Okay.
But yeah,
for those of you who don't know, Con is basically what they did is like a leverage version of like
a supernatural convention, but for
like
leverage.
Yeah, supernatural convention. Nate wakes up in a hospital. He doesn't like hospitals, as Elliot realizes. And it's like not much, but to be fair, who likes hospitals?
And I realized I just like, because Elliot's sitting in the chair watching Nate, and he kind of looks over at him, and he has what I wrote. Elliot's got Lindsay's crazy eyes.
He does kind of fit crazy eyes.
Because he does. And I'm like, should I be frightened of you or go give you a hug?
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of both. But I'm also like, his hair is like kind of floppy at that point. It's like, I don't
know if he has it in like a loose ponytail. Or like,
yeah, he does. He's got it in a low pony.
Like a loose ponytail.
Back. With the freaking white shirt, well, blue with the tie. Yeah.
The blue.
With his sleeves rolled up.
Mm-hmm.
And which was like throwback to Angel and freaking Lindsay McDonald.
I haven't seen Angel. I'm still trying to make my way through the librarian movies. Okay.
You have to tell me when you get to watching Angel, because I'll watch it with you.
I will.
Okay. Oh no, the shenanigans that's going to ensue with that.
Okay, Parker is like about time, and it's like and realizing Parker and Hardison are in the room next to theirs, and they can hear them through the vent connecting them. And Parker tells Nate the cops and firemen got there just as they were waking up. and she is pacing the room because she's out of her cuffs. And Hardison's handcuffed, sitting crisscross applesauce on the bed. And Nate asks where they're at. Hardison tells him they're at County Hospital, and the local cops responded to the explosion, which is fun. It's cool because you see like Hardison gesture to his handcuffs, like, "You're gonna deal with these." And Parker's
Parker
like,
looks at him like,
no, like, you're fine. You'll be fine. Like it's fine.
Oh, and then like she has to think of something quick because the cops are on their way, and she has to get the nurse or something like that comes in.
Yeah.
And she pretends to have a concussion.
Yeah. Okay. So Nate asks, or getting to that, Nate asks if they've been processed. Elliot shows him the ink on his fingertips, and Nate also has the ink on his fingertips, which I guess would make sense that like the ink would stay if you've been fingerprinted. Never been fingerprinted. Putting that out there.
Well, like I've had that type of ink because I've touched like an ink pad, and it does stain your fingers. It does stain your fingers for a little bit.
Yeah, I've like messed with it. Hard as crap
to get off.
But I've never been fingerprinted. Just pointing that out there.
Stamped ink, stamped ink and charcoal are the hardest things to get off your fingers.
I have charcoal, or we use charcoal pencils to mark the our seating chart where I work. So I'm constantly getting like charcoal dust on my hands because of that. It says that they faxed their prints to the state police, and Hardison says like, "Yo, if the states run us, we're screwed." Parker asks like how long. Hardison says they have 30 to 35 minutes depending on the software. It was like they printed us 20 minutes ago. So unless we get out of here in the next 10 minutes,
10 to 15 minutes,
we're going to jail. It's like, all right, like, yeah. Like, shut up, let me think. It's like, I could take these cops. Parker's like, don't you dare, you kill anyone, you screw up my getaway. And I was like, hey, like, wait a damn minute. I'm still handcuffed here, and I can't even go to the bathroom, and I gotta go. Like, Hardison, time and place. Okay? Like, I wouldn't like being in your situation either. But I think my need to get out of the room I am in supersedes the need to go to the bathroom.
It's like, well, if I was Hardison, I would have already gone in my pants from beer.
I don't know, probably. And Nate then was like, Parker, get me a phone. And we're going to get out together. No, it's like, this is a one-time deal. Which, I'm like, Elliot, like, you've said that like 5 times already. This is a one-time deal.
You're still here. But you're still here, bud.
Yeah.
What the hell, Oklahoma?
Yeah. He says, look, guys, here's your problem. You know what you can do. I know what all you can do. So that gives me the edge. It gives me the plan. Parker's like, I don't trust these guys. And it's like, do you trust me? Elliot, okay. He was totally being a smartass with this line. He was like, of course. You're an honest man. Like, he's being such a smartass.
He did the freaking, again, with the freaking Lindsay smirk.
Mm-hmm, he did.
And I'm like,
I can't tell if that was mocking the fact that, like, I can't tell if that was from Elliot mocking the fact that, like, Nate is willing to commit a crime even though he's an honest man. Because usually honest people don't commit crimes.
Yeah, he's like, well, you're not the
you're not an honest man.
You're more like the freaking Robin Hood of this group. You're the lead Robin Hood of this band of lost boys, pretty much.
It is a bit, but it's girls, like band of lost boys. But
we're a group of misfits. That's what they are.
Yeah. Or if it's just being a smartass to be a smartass. Because let's be real, that wouldn't be totally past him.
Probably a little bit of both.
That's fair too. Or then it's like Parker phone, which again,
demanding.
you hear the dad voice, like Parker phone. And then Parker makes herself vomit. Then it was funny. So it's like, hell no. Like looking away, like, oh no. This has already been too much for me. Like, I ain't dealing with this. So, like, doctor checks her temp. Then the cop comes over and checks her cuffs. And then Parker reveals she lifted a smartphone. Hardison lifted a flip phone. Then because Hardison can do more on a smartphone than a flip phone, they swap. The Parker is already out of her cuffs because she's Parker. And Hardison, and she holds up the keys. And Hardison's like, hey, like he whistles and it's like, hey. And she tosses in the keys so we can get out of the. Like, give me those now. Like, I've been in these damn handcuffs long enough. Give me the keys. So then Parker passes the flip phone through the vent. Nate grabs it and gives the team the idea of what they're doing by saying that the trick is to give them what they want and they're expecting a phone call. And we get a bit of a the call is coming from inside the house moment. Do you know what that's from? Like the call is coming from inside the house?
No, but I know.
I think it's like a Scream, one of the Scream movies. There's a moment where they like traced a phone
it's from
call.
It's from the original, the first one, I think.
The original Scream. Because it is kind of like the calls from coming from
inside
the house because
it's during the house party.
It is.
It was during like the college house party, I remember.
It is, yeah.
I watched that and it scared the ever living crap out of me.
But it is kind of like the call is coming from inside the house moment because Elliot calls the outside line from the flip phone, but they're still in the hospital. So that's what made me think of that line was like, because they're still in the hospital, but they're acting like it's an outside call from inside the hospital. So.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. This is weird.
Yeah. And Hardison takes a picture of himself using the back camera of the smartphone because smartphones back then didn't have front-facing cameras. And I say that like I had a cell phone in 2008.
Oh, I actually did. I had a freaking Motorola pink flip phone, and that's what I would have to do. I would turn it around to the camera and hold it up to the mirror and see where my face was in the freaking camera.
I had a chalk phone because when I started like taking the bus to school, my mom wanted me to be able to get a hold of her, but she didn't want me to have like a smartphone. So she got me like a touchscreen a track phone and with like the minutes on it.
Oh man, that was like
so I was only basically allowed to like just text her.
Slider phone.
Yeah.
Mine was a slider touchscreen. That was my first phone. And I still have it somewhere.
I can say it's a bit later. Hardison has a phone like that where it's like the touchscreen and then he slides with the keyboard.
That's totally like 2000-esque like cell phone.
Yeah.
And oh my God,
Elliot
are like on fire.
Putting on his
blushing so much.
I say it's like a Midwest accent, but it does kind of sound like I'm gonna say it again. It kind of sounds like a good old boy accent. Like, this is Detective Lieutenant Carter with the Illinois State Police. Like,
to me, that accent sounds like CK's accent, like in everyday life. It's a mix of Oklahoma with a little bit of Texas drawl with a little bit of Southern twang thrown in there. Yeah. And I'm like, could you get any cuter? Literally.
Like, can you
and I'm
hold,
like,
son?
it's like, oh my god. This long-haired cowboy is gonna be the death of me.
Mm-hmm. And like we got the prince, and they're setting up all kind of red flags. And I got somebody on the phone from down there in Washington, in the FBI down there in Washington. Can you hold, son? And Hardison sends the fax to the machine because they had fax machines.
That's like something we don't do as much nowadays.
No, we do not. We send
it's like email, and then for like business purposes, yeah, they have a fax. But I'm like, I've never sent a fax via like a text. Pretty much is what it is.
I used to,
but I always see that on like my it's like on my prescription bottles and stuff like that, and like office stuff. They'll have like the fax number for like an office or whatever, and I'm like, what the hell is a fax machine? I'm showing my age here. I'm like a clueless like millennial. I'm sorry.
See, what's funny is I'm Gen Z. Well, I'm ready to cut off.
Yeah, I'm actually, I found out via a little bit of research. I'm what's called a zillennial. I'm like right on the cusp between millennial and Gen Z. So I don't fit into either group. Because you're just a baby. I was born in 99. And so I'm like right on the cusp between a millennial and Gen Z. So I'm what I like to call a zillennial. So I'm both. And like both my parents are Gen Xers.
I don't even know what my mom would be, but
probably Gen X.
Probably, but like I grew up with like I still like had cassette tapes, and I had like DVDs, and I still had like VHS tapes that I played.
Oh man, I remember when I grew up right because I was born right on the end of like the VHS era, going into the DVD era. I remember VeggieTales on VHS tape, and I remember when I remember when I saw the cassette tape for the first time. I was in a music shop, and I went to the wall of like they had CDs, vinyls, and then cassette tapes, and I went over to the cassette tapes. Third one on the far right was a freaking Leonard Skinner cassette tape. Nice. And it was like a mixtape. And I'm like,
not the mixtape.
I was like, I've never seen a cassette tape outside of like Supernatural, so this is weird.
I don't know what was even on it because I never really like listened to it. I don't even think of anything on it. But we can when Ellie tosses the phone to Nate. Let's get back on track. And then Nate's like, "This is Deputy Director McCumber, FBI." Like, Nate, what kind of name is McCumber? Like, seriously. Like, you couldn't have picked a better name?
It could have been like Special Agent. Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, but like Dallas or something like that. Like more of like a city name. Like literally using a city for like the last name, which I've heard before on TV and stuff. Again, my accent's coming out. You can tell that I'm tired. But just the fact that he couldn't think of something that quick. Now, if it was Sophie, she could have thought of something real quick.
Yeah, who we meet later. We meet Sophie in a bit.
Yeah.
In Nate's story is that Hardison is an undercover agent, and that's how they get out. Is basically Hardison's an undercover, and they get into a police cruiser. But when Hardison's putting Elliot in the cruiser, he on purpose hit Elliot's head off the cruiser, and he growls. That's what he does.
He poked the bear.
But when Elliot growls, it's more a little bit sexy.
I know. It's more like he kicked the wolf.
It is more like he kicked the wolf, yeah.
Because
and like Hardison's like, hey, like walk it off. Just walk. Get in. Just get in the car. Get in the car.
It's like he's talking to a freaking dog. But I mean, Elliot's mannerisms to me is typical of a wolf, of a lone wolf. That's what he is.
Well, that's what they
and then
kind
he
of
has to be
are.
part of. Then he has to
alone.
be. They go from lone wolves to part of a pack.
Yeah.
And that's a hard transition for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's kind of like going from not having friends for that matter to having a couple of like internet friends and like two people that in like real life that you talk to.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some adjustment going on.
There is, yeah.
Behind the scenes that we don't see.
No. Okay. So I think this is actually an improv moment by Aldis, if I'm remembering correctly. Tarzan saluted the cops before driving off. I think he improvised that. I know one scene he definitely improvised. I'll get into later. And then the nurse comes out like, "You gotta call. It's state police." And they're like, "What? That was state police." And then you arrive at mostly...
Not the real police.
No. They arrive at a mostly empty apartment. Hardison says like 4 first-class tickets to anywhere but here coming up. Parker like whistles and asks whose place it is. Hardison says it's his. Then Elliot, typical Elliot fashion, says, "I'm gonna beat DeBennett so bad that even the people that look like him are gonna bleed." Parker's like, "You won't get within 100 yards of him. He knows your face. He knows all our faces." No, it's like,
well,
he tried to kill us. Parker just like, more importantly, he didn't pay us. No, it's like, how is that more important?
It's like that.
Parker's like, I take that personally. No, it's like, there's something wrong with you.
And then like she said, that makes me angry. Makes me mad in my special dark angry small angry place. And Elliot looked at her like, "The hell is wrong with you?" "Oh, wait a minute, you're 20 pounds of crazy in a 5-pound bag."
We're gonna be saying that phrase a lot. Okay, so Hardison then tells them that DeBennet's story is 90% true. He is the head of Bearing Aerospace's real rival of Pearson, who is played by Tony Bell in this episode. And his rep callers found a news video featuring Pearson, who's saying that he's lost research that they've worked on for over 5 years, and their servers are sabotaged, and they're going to pursue the perpetrators to the full extent of the law and their resources. Nate's like, it could be a cover story, and hers like, this is the log, the last night's rip, and then timestamps are way down in the code, 2003, 2004. There's no reason to fake those. And Elliot's like, so we didn't steal back the plans. Parker's like, no, we were just stealing them. Hardison asks why Bennett would lie, and Nate says it's because they're thieves, and if he had hired them for a straight-up crime, they'd know he was a bad guy and be suspicious. This way, they just saw a citizen over his head, so they never saw the double cross coming. Parker's like, so why didn't you see it coming? And it's like, because I'm not a thief. And Elliot's about to go after Nate, like, you know what? Maybe that's the problem. And I was like, well, hey, here's the tickets to like Rome, Sao Paulo, London, all matching the aliases he gave me. Then Nate gets this like look on his face as he's looking at the screen, like, you're running. And I was like, yes, sir, you got a better idea? And Nate then is like, no. You're running. Now that was a hard risk to play.
It's like, that's what he wants you to do. That's what he wants them to do. He wants them to run to make them look like they actually are guilty. When in reality, he's a bad guy.
Well, I mean,
he's got a very punchable face.
Are guilty. I mean, they stole the designs. They just stole them for the wrong person. Or just...
Yeah.
And Nate realized, Nate's like, also, it's like, you got your balls tied to the stock market like a cinder block. Shareholder meeting coming up. We can't let this guy have any time to cool down. And now it's like, you want to run a game on this guy? You. And I was like, well, how do you think I got most of my stolen merchandise back? Like, you think he's greedy, thinks he's smart. It's the ideal mark. So Nate, as much as he's like denying that he's enjoying it, he's enjoying it because he was doing this crap long before he even like agreed to that.
Back when he was doing it for IYS, Sterling. It was more of a legal. It's legally you're stealing stuff for your clients that was stolen from them, and we see that again in the reboot. We see that same story arc again in a different light, and it's like his heart was in the right place. He wanted to do good, but the grief and pain of losing his son because of his company that he worked for, basically stabbing him in the back and not helping pay for his son's treatment, kind of spurred this revenge, like, fire inside of him. And it's still there. But it also gets him knocked on his ass a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
More than once.
Yeah.
More than once. And Sophie kind of put, like, later on will be like a voice of reason.
Yeah.
Although there's one moment in a later episode that I was like, she literally hands him a loaded weapon, and I'm like, A, are you freaking crazy? B, what the hell, Sophie?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm like, oh no, this is gonna end badly. And it did. But not the way that I was expecting. Same with this episode. I'm like, it was like, it went to a completely different direction than I thought it was going to go. And even rewatching it, I noticed things that I didn't realize at first. And I'm like, the heck is going on? My brain is broken.
And then Parker says that Devlin thinks he got rid of them. And Hart's like, element of surprise. Like, he's been wanting to go after this guy since he nearly got blown up. Oh, it's like, what's in it for me? This is payback. If it goes right, a lot of money. Parker asks, what's in it for her? And he says, a lot of money, and if it goes right, payback. And then Nate asks, it's like Hardison. He was like, I love Hardison's answer. I was just gonna send 1,000 porno magazines to his office, but hell yeah, man, let's pick them up. Is that not such a Hardison thing to do?
Like a monthly subscription for a year.
All kinds of shit. All kinds of shit.
And like, then it was everything from like porno mags to food magazines to children magazines to like all sorts of crap. And I'm like, wait, you can do that? And then a little freaking spark on his face, and I'm like, I immediately kicked into Elliot. I'm like, I want to punch you in the face so hard that your ancestors work.
And then
literally. That was like one of the funniest like moments between like the group, and I'm like, I mean, throughout the first season, it was probably the funniest moment that defined their functional, dysfunctional family
dynamic,
in a way. Yeah. Wouldn't you agree with that?
And you could also tell that, like, right off the bat, Nate knows what to say to get to push people's buttons. Like right here, Nate
That's why he's the freaking
Elliot's
mastermind
out for revenge right now. So he knows Elliot's gonna go for the payback more than the money. Parker only cares about the money. So he entices her with the money. And he knows Hardison's going to do whatever. He's just going to be eager to please. So he's going to go along regardless of what decision they made.
Oh, that made me think of something. You know, like the genie from Aladdin, 3 wishes. But in this way, it's 1 wish for each person. And Nate is the genie in this aspect. And he can kind of see kind of what they need. And immediately it's like, I can get you what you want.
Yeah, like,
but
you want revenge?
What they don't.
You can get
what
it.
They don't.
You want the money?
What they don't.
You got it.
Yeah, it's like what they don't realize is there comes a downfall to that. It's a 2-way street. You get what you want, but you're endowed to this person for them to want your services again, want your help. And basically both parties are using each other to gain something. And I kind of see that in today's society a little bit more. People are using other people just to gain something, fame, fortune, money, whatever.
Well, it's always been the case, just
family and stuff
capacity. Yeah.
But this was more of a intimate version of that, but still dark, and it kind of sucks.
Well, it's more intimate because we've started developing a relationship to these characters. Like storytelling
instantly. Yeah. Kind of like, I want to know more about them, pretty much, is what my mindset was. I was like, I want to know more about why Elliot can do the things that he does. Yeah, it's like, what is their
how did we get here, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like their origin story, pretty much, of why they do what they do.
All right, continuing on. So Elliot asks then, what's in it for Nate? And Nate's like, he used my son. And I think he like disassociates for a bit, because then he snaps. He's like, okay, well, let's go get Sophie. And I was like,
and then Elliot's
Sophie?
Like, what?
How's Sophie?
And I'm like, the look of pure confusion on his face, and I'm like, oh, poor stupid cowboy. And then I realized, you could probably murder me.
Yeah.
If you were that.
He's our dumbass cowboy, and we love him.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell's a Sophie?
And cut to Sophie, played by the amazingly talented and lovely
Gina.
Kiwi actress Gina Bellman, who's doing a very horrible rendition of Macbeth.
The bad actor.
Nate's so whipped by Sophie, y'all, because the audience reaction. Parker is weirded out.
I don't think it was that Nate was like whipped per se. From my perspective, I think he was
amazed, though,
intrigued by her. He was intrigued by her. So they had like some sort of connection.
It was hard eyes. He definitely had hard eyes, though.
Yeah, it's like we don't know their backstory, but they have a connection. I could see that.
Right,
and I'm like,
oh yeah, first
history here.
Time you get that, you know there's a connection. Yeah,
it's like, what the heck?
But I find funny.
But the bad acting was hilarious.
I can't even watch that scene because Gina's a Shakespearean actress, so she can perform Shakespeare good. And you almost like have to perform something good to do something to perform it bad.
But that shows
that had to be like
got
a little part of her had to be like hurt a bit.
It's like
having to perform Shakespeare
right in the field. Like, oh, my heart. But
because it hurt me because I've been acting for like the last 10 years.
Like I've done like drama and stuff in school.
Me too.
And I even wrote my own play at one point. And
I actually have to.
Being the actor and the director at the same time, that's hard as crap.
It is.
it's funny when you're in that moment and you're in that mindset of performing. Everything else just kind of goes away, and it's really cool.
Exactly.
And I think that's the romanticism to the TV world and movie world that kind of drew me in. I was like, I want to do something like that. And then at the same time, I'm like, I want to do something behind the scenes, even if it's like prop work or something.
Yeah. And what drew me, I first started acting in theater because I was basically bored all summer. Like my brother was the jock, and I was sitting at home doing nothing. So basically, mom was like, "Okay, like you need to find like something to do this summer." And I had discovered the local theater where they did this workshop, and I signed up for it. And I like thought I was good, and like I felt like I loved doing theater. I had a lot of fun playing these different characters, and I just learned about the art. And I'd always been into movies, so then I started getting into movies, and I had met some people. I actually met people who founded NAFCO, and that's why I'm in the film business now, and that's like why I'm here now, is because I started acting in theater. And I have performed Shakespeare before. It was Romeo and Juliet.
It
was Romeo and Juliet.
Sort of,
I was not Juliet.
I remember having to do that in my English class, and it was so difficult. Yeah, it's like reading that out loud and getting into that headspace of the character. And my character was male, so I'm like, kind of body doubling. It's weird.
It is.
For me, reading for a male character is easier than reading for a female character. That's why I think for me, that's why I find writing so much easier, because I can basically alternate like what my OC is, my characters, who they are in my head is different, but when I write them down, they are what I want them to be. But in my mind, I see the male version of them in my mind. Even if they're a female character, I see the male version of them in my head. It helps.
Interesting. Yeah,
and I didn't realize that that sort of visualization was part of my creativity. So that's why I wanted to go into something like with like writing for like a TV show. Who knows? Maybe I could be like a co-writer on Leverage one day
for television.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Imagine the shenanigans in the writing room.
Oh, freak! Because basically, the writer's room is basically, okay, how do we plan a heist? That's what it comes down to. It's basically planning a heist.
Like, how do we commit a crime without actually committing a crime?
Like, how do we get it? Like, how do we commit a crime, but not make it seem as if we're actually committing a crime, because we don't want to get in trouble.
Oh, that reminds me. I was listening to, remember the one of the other podcasts that you were a guest on or something. They were talking about another episode where they actually got contacted by the local authorities. John Rodgers.
Oh no, they got contacted by freaking Homeland Security or some shit
because
like that.
Of the threat that they had written. But
even
John
like
was like, no, it's real. Yeah, it was like it was fake. It was a fake heist.
Yeah,
it was in the because of the last damn job.
I think it was like the consultant they used or something.
No, it was
like they had a consultant or something.
Kind of, but the way that John described it, it was the plot that they were writing it, and that they were going to do something bad to this like local like water source and located in Portland.
And last damn job.
Yeah, it was the one before that they got in trouble for it. Yeah. They got in trouble for doing Yeah, and it was like they were doing research for the next one, which was the last damn job. I remember it. I think the next one or the one after that. And John Rodgers said, like, yeah, I got in trouble. We got contacted by the authorities.
Yeah.
It was like he was like, this is how to not do crime. Don't take what we do on the show seriously.
Also, like Apollo Robbins, who is their tech consultant. For those of you who don't know who Apollo Robbins is, he's basically like a gentleman thief and a very scary man.
That's what his like moniker is, and he's been on Brain Games before.
Yeah, Brain Games. That's where I heard of him.
Yeah, and then
he's like taught the cast how to do lifts in that, and he helps.
No, he helped train Parker.
He trained Beth, yeah.
Be Parker.
And apparently Beth has like really good hands.
Dean Devlin was like, Apollo Robbins taught Parker to be Parker. Pretty much. He did. And I'm like, this is the man that pickpocketed the freaking president and got away with it.
Yeah. I mean, he always like
which is true.
He just more does it to like demonstrate like how to pickpocket.
The art of deception, pretty much.
The art of deception.
I'm like, I would love to hang out with him for a day. That would be fun. Mm-hmm. And he eventually doesn't he make like a cameo in one of the episodes?
He does.
I flipped out when I saw that.
Well, I mean, it makes most sense. I mean, you better to play a thief than a thief.
Exactly.
So. But anyways, oftentimes Apollo will say when after they've planned the heist for the episode, for planned how the characters would do the heist, and Apollo's like, good job, but now you've committed a crime and you just planned your heist. So the writing's good when you get freaking Homeland Security and local authorities telling that you need to tone down your writing and an actual thief.
Yeah, both John Rodgers and Dean Devlin both found that absolutely hysterical that happened. And I'm like, dude, that's
so
too close to reality. That's too meta. That's too meta.
It's too good. It's too close. It's too close. You gotta tone down. John Rodgers even said that with the bad guys. If you talking to someone about one of the bad guys for an episode, and they'd be like, there's no way that dude's real. And John Rodgers pulls up his the web article of the person it's based on.
And oh yeah, he's a legit person. But
we're gonna based on a real person. He's worse.
Yeah, he's worse than what you think that I wrote. What the person that
we had to tone it down to make it believable.
Water it down just a little bit, which is hilarious.
Okay. All right, back to the episode. All right. Elliot says, it's funny as Parker's like, is she injured in the head? We're talking about Sophie performing. And then Elliot says that she's worse.
And I was like, sweetheart, you're one to talk.
Well, not that Parker's injured, she's autistic.
I know, and I think that's why she's one of my favorite characters, because I kind of have a little bit of autism. I've got a little bit of autism, because I am neurodivergent. So I think that's why this is my comfort show, because I can see the brokenness in each one of the characters, and I can relate to certain aspects of each character.
Yeah,
and it's like that found family. Cue the feels with that phrase.
Found family. I also
it is a found family. It's they put the fun and dysfunctional. That's for sure.
Actually, I like Nate saying this is not her stage, and they meet outside. It's dark, and Sophie comes out of the theater in an alley, and Elliot's like no, I vote no. And it's Parker's right. Debenich knows us, and we need a fresh face. He starts clapping and walks up to Sophie, and I thought you were great. And Sophie walks up to Nate my only fan. And we meet Sophie
It's like-
Devereaux
It's like,
and the grifter.
yeah, it's like, I
He's the
want to know
grifter.
what their history is. Like, the fact that she knows of him.
Well,
Could they have met previously?
yeah.
That's what
Because
I
the
want to know.
flashback is of
Yeah.
the flashback is of them 7 years earlier in Paris. Sophie stealing art, as you do in Paris. And Nate busts into the room, pulling a gun out, like, freeze. Sophie grabs the gun off the mantle, shoots Nate, and, like, I think she shot him in the shoulder.
It looks like it like
peck,
nicked his
maybe?
arm. It like hit his arm kind of diagonal.
Maybe.
So she wasn't aiming it straight down.
Yeah.
It was kind of sideways a little bit.
It's funny
because the way that she held it was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction to seeing that flashback was like, Sophie, sweetheart, put the damn gun down. That's not how you hold a damn gun.
I know. Like, what was funny? She turns, shoots Nate. She goes to turn, but he shoots her in the back. And then she just turns around. It's the most freaking British thing ever. You wanker. It's funnier when you consider this is the first time they met.
Yeah, he was like trying to stop her, and she's like, it's like, tick. Pretty much. And I'm like,
it's like, you bastard. You shot me.
It's like, how rude of you to do this to me, of all people. Kind of sassy, and I'm like, all right, okay. Kind of funny.
It was a little bit funny when you consider that's the first time they met, too.
And that's like a very awkward but impactful way to meet someone.
And fitting, let's be real.
And it's like, well, the way that I kind of pictured that now with like their storyline, Nate and Sophie, it's he was the one that was chasing her. He was the chaser, and it was the cat and mouse. He was the cat, she was the mouse.
The cat and mouse, yeah.
Yeah, and then
that's
what
flipped. Made it exciting for him.
Yeah, and then
the
it
cat and
flipped.
mouse.
Eventually, it flipped. She starts hunting him down.
Yeah,
and they
you
start
can see that
going
like,
back and forth.
Like and season 1, and you can kind of get that vibe with this scene here, when Sophie's like, "I'm a citizen now, honest," and Nate's like, "I'm not," and you can tell like he is like infatuated with Sophie.
He has little heart eyes going on.
He had heart eyes the whole time.
And the way that he hesitated for speaking.
I'm not.
It was like very, very. It was a short hesitation, but it was there in his body language. That's what I saw, and that's what I pay attention to. He leaned kind of forward towards her, but he hesitated. He was stiff, but he was leaning towards her. His shoulders were facing towards her, not away, which was odd.
And then Sophie's little like, "You're playing my side." It's a cute, bad British accent from me. And then Nate's little like head cock and soft smiles, that says he is. And Sophie, like you can tell Sophie's looking at the team without the camera like panning to the team, which is like, I always thought you had it in you.
In that moment, I saw her eyes kind of go from looking at him in the face to over his shoulder, and I just imagine just our OT3 just looking at the duo just talking. They're like with this total
they totally
look on
know.
their faces. They're like,
they totally know. Well, at least Elliot and Hardison do.
Parker's completely freaking clueless.
Yeah, Parker doesn't understand humans.
Being our special little beam that she is. She doesn't get it, but Elliot and Hardison can pick up on it. They're like,
both their conversations they have later.
Yeah, they're like, there's something here. But I don't know what it is. And I had the same reaction. I'm like, there's something there, but I don't know what it
is.
I want to know more.
I originally thought that they had to have like screwed at least once before that. I was like,
they probably did.
Well, that's up in the air. To be fair, I think
it's up to the interpretation, which is great writing on the show's part, and that's great creative view from Dean Devlin himself. It's the perfect brainchild. He left that open for us to fill in the blanks. Which, speaking of the mastermind himself, Dean Devlin, he's broken us several times on social media, hasn't he?
He has. And he actually did it again because he liked my tweet about Parker Hardison getting Parker safe for Christmas.
Oh, and he also liked my response to that. I was like, oh no, this is going to be something that she will enjoy. And I'm like, and I tagged Beth and I'm like, this is totally Parker.
She retweeted that.
And he liked
he tagged Dean Devlin in a lot of things.
I know. And I'm like,
sometimes it gets us in trouble.
I know, he's even, oh man, when I pointed out the family arc between like the brother, sister, and mom and dad thing, you know, like what I'm talking about.
What can you say? I make family entertainment.
And you get the damn winky face. I'm like, son of a, oh, damn it, Dean. Stop it. And we both did the Elliot voice just now.
We did.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize.
If you don't know, this is exactly how our conversations usually go.
With a lot more crazier than Parker on sugar.
So, all right. Back to the episode because it's getting late. Okay, Nate asks Sophie if she's in. Sophie shakes her head yes and says, I wouldn't miss this. And Nate turns around, claps his hand as the leverage music plays, and says, let's go break the law just one more time. And then Nate gets the car door for Sophie, like the gentleman he is. I thought that was sweet.
I was like, oh.
But I'm like,
one more? It's like breaking the law for them is like having potato chips.
You know it doesn't last.
For me, when I hear that phrase coming from him, I'm like, it's like having potato chips. You can't have just one.
True.
You have the whole damn bag.
Yeah.
And that's what leads into the next episode, which I loved. And it's like kind of left the door open for more. Because they walk off and you don't know what's going to come up next for them. And I kind of also hated that too at the same time. Because I'm like, what's next? I want more of this.
Yeah.
And cue the next episode.
That's what happened when I started watching Leverage. I was like, oh, like this looks fun. Robin Hood Thieves. Well, now I'm obsessed.
How did you discover Leverage?
Well, I first heard of it when I was at my mom's ex-boyfriend's apartment, and he had the Last Damn Job episode on, and it was like paused, and I like saw a bit, and I was like, oh, that like it kind of looked interesting, and so I discovered it again a bit later after like finding it on Prime Video. I was like, oh, Robin Hood Thieves, this is fun. This looks fun. Click. This is what I do. Yeah, I want more.
Okay. My story of how I found out about Leverage. Yeah, my story about how I found out about Leverage is kind of more subtle in a way, more normal. I started watching The Librarians, which got me hooked, and my favorite character, surprise, surprise, was a freaking cowboy. Christian Kane's
our
character,
dumbass
Jake
cowboy.
Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but smart ass cowboy, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had a Q of like 190 something, I think it was, on the show. Come to find out that Christian actually studied art and history in college.
Yeah. You studied art history in college before he acted.
And he played a character that had that. And I'm like, who is this cutie? And I looked him up and I'm like, what's Leverage? And so I found it. And I watched like via just a couple years later.
Mm-hmm.
Watched it on, I think it was, I had downloaded the Electric Now app or something like that. No, I had gotten IMDb TV and I watched it. Watched the whole freaking first season in a matter of a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it again in that same month.
Mm-hmm.
Took me a whole month to finish the first season. And I'm like, I need more. And then I cried when I only found out there was only 5 seasons and I literally sobbed.
And then
I'm like,
found out it came back.
And then I legit, when I found out that they were coming back, I'm like, oh, finally we get a season 6.
Yeah, we get our season 6.
And it's like, we made the Let's Castile season 6 actually happen.
We did.
In a way.
Yeah. Though I am kind of glad how they handled that with them.
Yeah, they left. I like that they left the fact that end of season 5 they left that door open.
Oh, yeah.
For more, but they didn't know for sure.
And I also like how they handled especially Nate's character and redemption.
Yeah, Dean could have cut that off right there and left it at that and shut the door, but he left the door open just a crack. And now look what we have. We have
redemption.
We have our OG crew 2.0 now, and I feel like a better, more adult version of themselves. They're better versions of themselves now than what I can see the difference between Leverage Redemption season 1, episode 1, and Leverage season 1, episode 1. I can see the difference in how they've grown over the years, over the decade that they've been doing this. And it's this thing of theirs that they do. They flaunt that they are, they flaunt that they are Robin Hoods, that they're Robin Hoods now. And funny little thing that they brought back Alice White, Parker's alias.
One of Parker's aliases, yeah. I saw that.
And I'm like, that's adorable. And the fact that they kind of alluded to more than one team in the new show.
Because there's Leverage Con Artist, which is like the Korean drama version.
Yeah, and then they were like, oh, Hurley, and I'm like, oh, great. And then they mentioned Quinn. I'm like, and then they brought up Hurley, and
they haven't mentioned Quinn yet,
but they will. I have a good feeling that they will.
They better too.
And they mentioned Hurley. It's like, oh, Hurley's in Europe training with the Korean crew, helping them grift a little bit better. He's leading them, and I'm like, my immediate thought was, where the hell is Quinn? Probably locked in a basement somewhere, surrounded by 6 guys, needing Elliot to go save him. And that brought up when they met, in the later episode, The Last Day on Job. That's like my all-time favorite. One of my top 5.
No trouble. When
they meet face to face, he's like, well, I'm currently tied up in I'm not happy with my current job situation. What do you got? And I'm like, the way that he calls him pal, I immediately melt at the Bama accent. Like,
it's the Bama accent.
It's like there's something about the Southern accent that like just melts my heart. Not being a Southerner, but hearing it, I know, it's like, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be Irish, it can be Southern, for all I care. And even the Boston accent, for that matter, is kind of cute too.
Boston, yeah. All right. It's back to the episode. Okay, so it's now day. They're at Harson's apartment, and you get Harrison tell everyone about Bennett, who's the executive vice president in charge of new technology development at Ryan Aerospace. Elliot comes over with beer and popcorn and says, in between Parker and Sophie, like this is their entertainment. And I like how Devlin says that, like, they usually have like popcorn and like snacks during these like briefings because it's like their entertainment.
I love watching like they have like little preview, like little videos of like behind the scenes stuff, like what they do like during the press stuff. And one of the it was end of season 1, they had like a little final like press briefing, and our OT3 are lined up side by side, and I see that Christian's in the middle and Beth's on one side, and our crazy hacker guy is on the other side, and I'm like, sandwich. And I immediately think, what are they gonna do or say that's gonna like make people laugh? And almost immediately they like crack a joke that's kind of inappropriate. I don't even remember what it was. And Beth just literally looks over at Christian and then leans down and looks over at Dean like, did you hear this? He just nods his head and starts smiling.
I don't know if I've seen that.
But it's on the Electric Now app, and it's like the behind the scenes stuff of like their final like get together grouping pretty much before the premiere, where they can watch the final product before it launches. And it gets a little crazy. But
I'm going to find those.
Funny. Yeah, it's on the Electric Now app, and I love it.
Right.
I also love the freaking podcast, the official podcast, because those girls are awesome.
They are. Back to the episode. Harrison's got his orange soda. He's saying that Dementia had a rich daddy, trust fund, Yale MBA, yada yada yada. Then Nate asks when the last time they met a Victor was. Now it's like Vietnam town. Okay, I'm sorry if I pronounce any of these things wrong. It was Vietnam, a town called Ben Haozai, I think is how you say that. And Sophie recognizes it as on the Chinese border. And both of them get their flirt on. And Elliot's leaning back like, that's an odd thing for you to know. But Sophie's like, that's an odd place for you to be. Nate's just smiling.
And he's like, both of these people are crazy. But that makes me think with Elliot's background of like how his fighting style is, to bring that up, we know that he has some sort of training to be able to do this stuff. And like maybe one of his tours brought him in that vicinity at one point. And then with Sophie, maybe one of her, like some of her thieving skills, her grifting days, or like actors being a failed actress on Broadway brought her over there at one point. And maybe their paths crossed or something. That's kind of an arc that I thought of. And I'm like, imagine if they went down that road. That would lead to some extra fire of chaos. Like, seriously. Like, mega chaos.
Continuing on. Harrison continues explaining that Bering is in charge of all the big fat government contracts. Some DoD stuff, very classified. Parker asks if they can use it, but Harrison doesn't think so, as Bennett is in charge of the commercial airline business. And it's like, I know when you sent Demenish's designs, they weren't supposed to make any copies. And Harrison's like, no, I promised, and that would be wrong. And it's like, show me your copies. And Harrison's like, all right. And pulls up the copies of the airplane designs. It's like, it's an airplane. But Nate has to mansplain. It's a short.
I love the fact that, like a typical dad, he could tell when his kid was lying. He could tell that Harrison was lying to him. Like, and he's like, I'm not buying it.
Show me your copies.
It's like, come on.
Okay, Dad.
Get over. It's like, all right. Here, fine.
Nate has to mansplain that it's a short-haul domestic airliner, 1-hour flights, fastest growing segment of the industry, fuel efficient, high tech. There's a titanium wrap on it, 3-1. No idea what any of that means because I'm not an aerospace engineer. And
basically, it's a fancy, like, from what I saw of like the blueprints or whatever from like on the computer or whatever that I actually looked up behind the scenes. It's basically just a private jet, but bigger, pretty much, is from what I understood. Because I've been on a little passenger plane before, so I kind of know a little bit about that. But I just love learning like about blueprints and stuff like that. That part, the research part, is like what makes my little geek heart happy. As you obviously know, because I've looked up a ton of crap for my stories.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you pick up things here and here. I was like, you pick up a lot of stuff. Then Parker's like, ha! But I don't know exactly like what she thought he was trying to say. It's very confusing to me.
She like read into it wrong, apparently.
I think so. Harrison ignores her and continues saying that Devlin and Pearson were head to head for 5 years trying to grab the lead in an $11 billion industry. Parker's like, Pearson got there first, Devlin took the shortcut. Nate realizes that Devlin has a rival and one that pisses him off so much that he hired them to steal the designs, and this is good. And then Sophie's like, what are you thinking, Nate? Nate's like, I'm thinking Nigerians. Yeah, Nigerians will do nicely. And then walks away. And Sophie's the only one not surprised, and the team looks at her and she's like,
it's like,
well, he hasn't changed a bit.
And I'm like, that mic drop was also a breadcrumb leading into the next job a little bit in a way. And I'm like, oh, so that explains the title of the freaking episode.
Nigerian Job.
Nigerians.
Like,
yeah, I'm like, what in the hell? And then it clicks. I'm like, oh, okay, I feel stupid. Because it was right there in front of my face the entire time.
Then we head back to Bering Aerospace, and the receptionist tells Devlin it's 9 o'clock is there. Devlin sees Sophie sitting in a chair, a lucky outfit, of course. And Sophie introduces herself to Devlin in a South African accent as Anna Gunstadt from the African Commercial Transport and Trade Initiative. And surprisingly, she doesn't suck as hard as Tim thinks she's going to. And Devlin takes Sophie to his office and asks if she's government. Sophie's like, no, private business consortium. And they're looking to encourage infrastructure development and economic renewal.
She's laying it on a little bit too thick, is what I thought from that.
I think she's giving him.
But dumbass Devlin is buying it. Like, seriously, buying this crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and basically, she's
stupid man.
Yeah. Well, men tend to do stupid things when it comes to women.
The pretty women, especially.
Yes. Same thing for people who are basically anybody attracted to women will make stupid decisions in the face of emphasis.
Pretty much. And it's the same for women and men, like looking at a pretty guy. And all sense of logic and reason go out the window.
Yeah.
And that happened in a matter of a split second, which is hilarious. And you can see it in his eyes. And I'm like, oh, you poor stupid man. You're done for.
Yeah. So Sophie's going to her grift, and Harson's like, she's not awful. And then we get Nate saying, this is her stage. Sophie Devereaux is the finest actress you've ever seen when she's breaking the law.
It's like
And
this is where she thrives, on the small screen behind the scenes of behind the public eye of presenting to a one-on-one audience, pretty much, instead of a group of people. And that's probably why when we see her for the first time, she's basically failing because she's overwhelmed, I think. And I can kind of relate to that
a bit,
a little bit.
But there's the irony in that too. Like,
exactly.
a grifter who can't act on a stage. Okay, but of course, then Sophie's like, come on, let's go talk somewhere a little less formal, eh? And Bennett is just bumbling.
He's the bumbling idiot.
Yes. And then Nate cues Hardison. He sends the blue screen of death to the receptionist's computer. Causing her to call IT. He was Parker. She puts on a southern accent, introducing herself over the phone as IT. And asking if she's turned off and on the computer again. Nate Hardison probably tells Nate he told her to say that. And Nate's like, well done. like, look what I did, Dad. Like, you're proud of me, Dad? Like, yes, son, I am proud of you. Of course, Nate would never actually say that. And then Parker tells the receptionist that there's someone on her floor right now. And then comes Elliot introducing himself as IT. Like, his hair's slicked back. He's got like the glasses kind of like we do. Freaking. Glenn was like, someone call IT.
It's like he went from suave cowboy hatter to geek.
Yeah.
Full on nerd.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he draws some Star Trek crap later.
I know.
But he's getting his flirt on.
Exactly.
Hard's like, oh no. We're gonna have a strong talk when you get back.
And I'm like, that makes me think of a gag reel where he's carrying Bethy on his back, dressed the geek.
Yeah. I don't know when he's the accountant.
You know exactly.
So just like, get it up.
Exactly. You know exactly which one I'm talking about because he's got that geeky like disguise on, and I'm like, and he just got cuter by like 10.
He did. Okay, back to the episode because you still got a bit to go yet. Okay, then Sophie and DeBennett. Sophie's still selling her character to DeBennett, and it turns out she actually is not that bad and was basically reading Nate's mind when it comes to what to say to DeBennett to get him to buy her character. And Elliot gets his flirt on with the secretary to distract her so Parker can come through the ceiling and plant a transmitter. I love how Hardison's like, shouldn't I be the computer guy? Or shouldn't I play the computer guy? And Hardison's like, shouldn't I play the computer guy? And it's like, no, I want you to actually be the computer guy.
It's like, no. We're going to let Elliot be the puppet. You're going to be the puppet master pulling the strings. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. And then Elliot's like, the secretary comments how big Elliot is. And she's like, you're kind of big for an IT guy. And it's like, oh, well, thank you. I like to stay big as like dressing up and was like a Klingon and going to all the conventions. And
freaking
stay
Star
big
Trek
as
reference.
And she does it back.
The freaking Star Trek
It's
reference.
like, oh, don't you tease me. And I was like, oh, no. That's just when he says, oh, no. We're going to have a strong talk when you get back.
I love like that's the Star Trek reference right then there, and it's like multiple times throughout. Considering who one of the lead masterminds, I guess you could say, is besides Devlin, Jonathan Frakes,
Frakes,
aka
yeah.
number one.
Yeah. Sophie is still selling her character, getting Debenage to playing the rival card at one point to get Debenage to take the meeting. I mean, Nate is proud of her. And possibly slightly turned on, I don't know. Because that seems like a thing that would turn on Nathan Ford. Is Sophie doing a grift good? And reading his mind.
To me, it was like, he almost had like a prideful smile on his face.
It had his pride. Alright. So Sophie wraps it up and then leaves Debenich hanging. And that's basically the end of that meeting. And then back at Hardison's apartment, Elliot's shooting pool. Hardison shows Nate Debenich's finances. And Parker's playing with the lock. Because she's got to do something. Nate goes up to Elliot, who offers him a beer. And Nate declines. And I was like, you look better than when you started. And I was like, and that bothers you, doesn't it? And it's like, well, this isn't supposed to feel. And I was like, good. It's not that hard to figure out. Bennett screwed you. He cheated by stealing from that other company, and your good guy brain sees him as the bad guy. Your conscience is clear.
For now.
And Nate's like, you want to take your shot? Elliot like takes a swig of his beer. But I think this scene here shows like how receptive Elliot is. Because he may not be the most like emotionally
like
expressive person.
Yeah. But in a way that he expresses emotion or feeling, it's through his protective nature. He was taught, because he joined the military at the age of 18.
He
was taught to he was taught to bottle that in.
Well, so that and training too, I think that also adds like a protective for just doing what he does for a living. He probably it's another defense mechanism. Like, okay, I need to read this person so I know if I'm about to get like betrayed or not, or if I need to like think of like an exit before I go in here in case this goes bad or whatever.
Strategic kind of like mind reading in a way, because like he's playing chess in his head with what the possibilities are.
Well, that's what Nate does. Is that's what Nate's thing is, playing chess.
Yeah, but with Elliot, it's more of, I hate to say this, but more punchy.
Well, yeah,
a more punchy version of chess, pretty much in his head, but it's more quick to him because he has only a split second to decide: do I need to either A, run and get more backup, or B, fight like hell to get out of here, or C, all of the above.
Yeah, because sometimes you need to do all the above. And then Elliot's like, I'm sorry about your kid, and it's like, you don't know anything about that. No, it's like, everybody knows. Like, a guy like you goes off the street, a lot of people notice. And it was a bad story too. How do they justify that? Huh? The insurance company not paying for his treatment? Which also shows that Elliot does have like an empathetic side to him. Because he is sort of like empathizing here with Nathan. Like, okay, I do feel bad for you.
Yeah, it's like, well, you suffered this loss. I can see the damage that it's done to you, because I
can tell it's messing you up.
Yeah, he's basically done that to people. And he's like, I've taken away lives and I've caused loss. So I can see the pain that you're hiding behind the mask, because I do that too, because I absorb that. And I kind of relate to that because he's masking his true emotions. And so is Parker. And so is Hardison. They all do. And that's why I think I'm drawn to them, because they mask so well, and I have to as well. It's a self-preservation thing.
Like a self-defense mechanism.
Pretty much. It's like preserving your own sanity.
Next episode. So you get a flashback to Nate's son in the hospital, and Nate says that they claimed their treatment was experimental, and tells Nate, like, you should have fenced one of those beignets you found. You fenced that. Nate's like, Elliot, you and I are not friends. And Elliot's like, right, because he got so many of them. Again, being a smart ass, I think. But also, like,
well, that right there is a deflection mechanism for him, because he's confronted with jerk mode from Nate, but he's like, well, you're not all warm and fuzzy, are you?
Like you don't have any friends.
You're basically a cactus.
I'm gonna tell you like it is. Yeah.
He's like,
I'm telling you the woman.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not gonna hold your hand. I'm not gonna be all soft and stuff, but you need a front kick in the pants, and I'm gonna give it to you. And that's kind of that's his NCO aspect coming out of him. He sees the pain that he has in his heart, but he's like, I'm gonna tell you like it is, because I don't lightfoot around on what I see. I call it as I see it. And that's kind of what I admire about Elliot. The no hesitation to call out people. But that also gets him in trouble too.
Yeah. Well, I also think there's a layer to that line of like, like, you don't have any friends, but I'm gonna warn you that the girl you obviously had a fling for is coming over, and I'm gonna leave to give you two some space, which is like something like friendly. Like, I'm doing you this courtesy of like giving you a heads up so you can prepare for this moment.
He's like, hey, kind of wise up, get your head out of your butt, and actually pay attention to this girl, because she actually wanted to start a relationship with you. I can see it. She's really blind to it. Put your ego aside, shove it in a box, and bury it for now, and focus on what your heart wants, pretty much. And I kind of admire that advice.
Yeah. No. I mean, who knew putting a freaking comm in an ear would have so much freaking tension? Oh my god. And then her saying, so this time you really are stuck, and you really are inside my head. Then goes
I immediately thought, oh, that's creepy. I would not want to be inside your head, or Nate's for that matter.
No, but I think this is, and then we get Hardison slides in his little rolly chair and slides across the room. Like, oh, and you can see Nate's like, shut up, which was improv by Aldis.
And he was like,
because they had the camera set up.
Yeah, he was like, I was sitting in the roller chair, and I just had to do my little roller chair thing, and I did. And
they were talking about it in the audio.
Yeah, he almost broke. You almost broke Christian. Seriously, that's from Aldis. He's like, yeah, I think I almost broke Christian. I was like, I did my little roller chair thing, and I'm like, oh, not again.
But I think basically how they said it in the audio commentary was they like shot that scene and they forgot Aldis was there with nothing to do. So we just slid in the scene like, oh. And they just kept it because it works.
And That was funny. That was like, and I think it was at a Comic-Con. Aldis was like, "Yeah, that was pure improv on my part," and I'm like, "Nicely done, sir. I applaud you."
So we go back to Baron Aerospace. Nate's outside watching, telling Sophie Devlin has arrived. Sophie panics because she isn't ready. Nate tells Sophie that if she doesn't meet him in the lobby, he's going to search the building in the directory, and they are in the directory. Elliot's climbing up steps, like, why aren't we in the directory? Harrison's like, I don't know, maybe because they're fake offices. Like, tone down the sarcasm. Harrison, like, there's no need for that right now. And so Sophie goes to the elevator. There's no elevator. Nate goes to leave. Artisan follows, and Nate tells Parker she has 10 seconds to get Sophie to the lobby while he distracts the Bennett. Parker gets Sophie to a stairwell and has her put on a harness. Elliot walks past and changes out the signs. Nate pulls out a baton as Harrison stands back like, whoop, I do not know what's about to happen, though I totally know what's going to happen. As Nate starts breaking shit and breaking the windows.
It's like he fully channeled Bull in a China shop right then and there.
He did.
And I wonder how much fun Timothy Hutton had doing that.
Well, as they found out, apparently it's not that easy breaking windows.
Especially when you realize that the set glass, that's not real glass. It's the rubber glass. It's fake when they break it.
Or it's made out of sugar.
Or both.
Or both, yeah, depending on the scene and what they need it for. But yeah.
Yeah, when they break it, it's a resin that's so brittle.
Mm-hmm.
I found this out through a little bit of research because I'm wanting to go into prop design and stuff and be a prop maker.
Yeah.
And it's with like this when they do like the broken glass on the ground after he hits it, there's like broken glass everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the rubber glass. But when you hit it, that's the sugar glass. It shatters.
That makes sense because I know like
and it's sugar. It's legit sugar. It's hard sugar, and you hit it and it shatters.
And it doesn't like cut or anything either because it's
actually
sugar.
No. When you hit it, they call it sugar glass, but it's legit fake glass, and it's sharp. It's like plastic, and you can get cut
if you're not careful.
Oh. Yeah, and if you lay on it, because Jensen Ackles actually had to deal with that because they busted out a window behind him, and he had to lay in that broken glass. The prop glass, and it cut him open. So I'm like, they probably got a couple nicks and cuts from when it shattered. Probably. They got like this flashback from that. I'm like, I would not want to be in that mess because I would be crying from pain.
Yeah. All right, back to the episode. Okay, so Sophie and Parker rappel down the staircase, which Sophie's not happy about because she's screaming the whole way down. Sophie does make it in time and gets Devlin to the elevator, and Sophie basically hints to Devlin that he's gonna have to offer a bribe to these officials that they're gonna meet. And then Elliot leaves as Sophie and Devlin go to the office, and they have the meeting with the Nigerians. And then Parker meets with Nate and Hardison outside. And it's like, good job on the zip line. Parker's like, totally thought she was going to break a leg. Not bad for her first time. Which I find kind of funny. Because, like, did Parker expect Sophie was going to break her leg? Or, I don't know. Sophie,
I was like, that was a little weird for her. It was implied of like, well, if it happens, it happens. I'm like,
I bet, yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. All right. So Sophie closes up the deal, giving Devlin an envelope from the Nigerians. The envelope contains like $1 million on like a sheet of paper. Like it's a sheet of paper in black letters that says $1 million or something like that.
That's funny.
And then they meet outside. Nate asks if they own him or if they have him. Sophie says they own him, then asks if it'll work. Nate says that they have a lot of work to do. And then we see Devlin and his lackey go to his office and they find the transmitter. And Devlin reveals that he knows that Sophie's working with Nate and that they're trying to pay him back for him screwing them over. And he tells his lackey to call the FBI. So the next morning, the lackey asks if he's sure it's the team, and Devlin explains the timing, like the week of the shareholders meeting, the bug, the fake offices, cash bribes, and using Nigerians, quoted the Nigerian prince scam, which is basically someone sends you an email claiming that they're like a Nigerian prince, and then they hit you up for some money.
Yeah, and I actually found that out that's actually like a legit thing. I didn't think that was real, and I looked it up, and it's legit. And it
is.
It goes on to this day, and I'm like, people still fall for that crap?
I know, that's why, like,
really?
I literally, ever since I started watching Leverage, I've been like so much more weary of like things I get sent.
My head is now on a swivel and I notice things differently.
Yeah.
And I even notice like the security cams, where the security officers are, and how many people are around me. I basically channel Elliot at all times, and it's kind of hilarious.
And then, and then Devlin is like, who do they think I am? Some dog they can lead around? Like, yes. That's exactly what. Right. So then the team gets ready, packing up duffel bags with clothes, I think, and they meet outside. There's a shareholders meeting. The Nigerians arrive and meet with Sophie. Sophie meets with Devlin, and he suggests they do the deal now. So they go into the conference room where Devlin lets in the FBI agents. And the FBI agents go to grab Devlin, and Devlin thinks the Nigerians are con men. And he's like, I spoke to Agent Higgins. And the guy pulls up like, I'm Agent Higgins. And Devlin is under arrest for soliciting a bribe from Nigerian officials. And Devlin is like, what? No, they're not actually Nigerian officials, but they actually are. And then they reveal that Sophie told them she was with Devlin. And we get a flashback to her meeting with the Nigerians. And that the Nigerians confirm that for Devlin that they don't have an office there. Devlin is like, haha. But it's like, she showed us to your other office. And then we get the flashback again to Elliot putting up the Bearing Aerospace sign before Sophie met with the Nigerian officials.
I love when they do like the flashback. Like,
I do. I love the coming together. Yeah.
So cool. Because we're like, wait, there's a missing piece here. Like, oh, that makes sense.
That's the missing piece.
Like, where did that damn puzzle piece go? Oh, there it is.
Yeah. And Devlin goes to leave to deal with the shareholders. Cops swarm the place. Shareholders are freaking out. FBI comes swarming in. Devlin tries to keep everyone calm. But Higgins asks out loud if anyone else is involved in the bribe. And the Nigerian say that he handed Devlin a check with $200,000. Devlin said he wasn't handed a check. But then we get a flashback to Sophie switching out the envelopes before handing it to Devlin. And then Higgins asks if Devlin cashed the check. A defendant said he didn't get a check. Another agent says that they've got people searching the lab, sees some files and computers. The bench is like, you can't do that. And Higgins is like, you have DOD contracts, and there are rules with contacts with foreign nationals. Like the Patriot Act applies here, and I could take your underpants. Like, and the bench is like, this is getting aggressive. Okay. Like,
yeah, and bringing up the Patriot Act, that actually is a legit thing.
I know that's a real thing.
Yeah, and I found out that like with, let's take any like big business company, like Coke Industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say that they're working with a foreign official.
Mm-hmm.
Under the Patriot Act that was enacted and put in place to protect the international trade dealings, they can seize all assets if they need to, that if they find out that the person that you're working with, like the Nigerians, are suspected of a crime. Doesn't matter if it's peaceful or not. If they suspect there's a crime, they can, under the Patriot Act, actually take your stuff without a warrant. All they need is suspicion, and that's enough, which is kind of scary.
Yeah. I mean, for in this context, it makes sense, though.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, this context, though, for what they need to do, it makes sense because
it's another thorn in Dubenich's side at this point.
And
I'm like,
it's funny as Dubenich's exit, though. He's like, introduces someone. They're like, these men are from Nigeria. Oh, Joe, just relax. Like, let them do their thing, and I'll be right back. And he just leaves. And his lackey's shredding everything, dumping it out the window. So scraps of paper are flying. And out comes our team carrying boxes and FBI jackets.
I just love how they just casually walk out the front door.
I know.
It's like, how would they not know that those guys aren't actual FBI agents? Like,
I guess
that doesn't
chaos.
make sense.
You miss things in the chaos, so they don't even pay attention.
It's in the fray of like the heat of the moment. You're focused on getting this one bad dude and his like slimy friends, and you don't notice the guy with the giant sword behind you walking off.
Yeah, the moonwalking bear.
It's like
it's what it's like.
It's like with Apollo Robbins' sleight of hand. That's what it is.
Or art of deception,
and I'll pick your pocket. Pretty much. That's what that is. I didn't realize that until now.
Like, I'm gonna show you a card trick while I steal your wallet, or while I steal your wallet and steal your watch and steal your handkerchief or whatever. Okay.
And then put this business card in your back pocket.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Yeah. All right. Back to the episode. All right. So Nate meets with Pearson and gives him the hard drive with copies of his files, along with proof they were on Bering aerospace servers. In exchange, Pearson drops the investigation against the team for the theft. Nate agrees, hands over the drives, and goes to leave. Pearson's like, don't you want money? Nate says, this particular project has a different revenue stream.
I immediately thought, what does that mean, Nathan? Explain.
Well, that gets answered kind of in a minute. And the FBI is searching Dubenich's office, and the news is reporting on the TV that Bering's stock has basically crashed. So Nate gets a phone call from Nate. It's like, you should have just paid us. And it's just like, I found the transmitter. And it's like, no, you found the transmitter with the blinking light. Like, yeah, we wanted you to figure out some of it, and we just gave you what you were expecting, which is the whole con. Is basically like the Nigerians being actual Nigerians, and
in a way that brings up the Kobayashi Maru, which is a actual winnable odd. They set him up with his own Kobayashi Maru, where they knew how it was gonna end because they set it up. They set that ball in motion. And I love that later on Will Wheaton mentions that, and I'm like, oh no, not another geeky reference.
And also, Dean Devlin is insistent that every bad guy they take down get taken down by his own sin.
Yep, it's like they set up the mirror and it shows you their true heart pretty much.
Yeah.
Their own flaw.
Yeah.
So
in this case, Debenich thinks he knows everything and knows what's gonna happen before it happens.
He gets kind of cocky in that aspect. But
so the team gives him exactly what he wants. And then
him being a little bit it's like, oh, I know something you don't. It's like, we know something that you don't, actually.
Yeah.
Fact check. You're wrong. We're right.
Yeah.
You suck.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and then Debenich is like, I am Victor Debenich. I am going to beat this. And it's like, aren't you forgetting about the bribe? Debenich is like, who cares? You can't prove anything. I didn't get any money. Then the FBI finds some cash in the desk. And it's like, doesn't account for all of it because Sophie kept some to buy a truly impressive number of shoes. And you see like the teams walking like below Nate because he's on like a bridge thing. And Parker's like, what's it with women in shoes? Sophie's like, there's something wrong with you. No, it's like, that's what I said. So I noticed
that Elliot was like, that's what I said. I said that just like a little bit ago and nobody
I just noticed
me.
this. So I just noticed this on this watch through. But Parker's wearing like a see-through black top and a black bra. Like that is what she's wearing. I did not know she was wearing that before.
Yeah, and then beforehand, before they do like the final like meet up, walk up, she was wearing a completely different shirt from what I noticed. And then it switches. I'm like, you went from business clothes to party clothes.
A bit, yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
Also, Elliot's red Henley looks really comfy.
Like the outfit that he's wearing, he looks like cute and cuddly, even though he could kill me.
Yeah.
Although he wouldn't. Which is awesome.
Maybe.
Because that's just his character. He's like, I protect you, but if you cross me, I will hurt you.
So then Nate starts explaining that to Debenich that if a company's stock price falls 10-50% in one day, you can sell short, make a lot of money. If it falls 30%, you can make shattering amounts of money. And he tells Debenich that they didn't need the FBI to arrest him. They just needed to scare his investors by having the FBI coming in and out of his office all day. And him going to jail is just a bonus, and warns Debenich not to tell the feds about them, because the next time he won't be so nice. So then Nate's with the team, and Sophie's like, they see the check, and it's like, they're like, oh my God, this is a lot of money. Like, this is the most amount of money I've ever held in my hands in my entire life.
Yeah, and I love that promise that Nate makes is like, the next time I won't be so nice.
It does come
and
true.
A few episodes later, he said, this is the next time. And it's like, it was in one of my favorite episodes, The Last Damn Job.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the next time. And I'm like, oh, you scary. But also,
yeah.
I kind of like evil giggle, and I'm like, ooh, something bad's gonna happen, but it's gonna be so awesome.
And I like
that was my reaction with the first episode. I was like, ooh, what's next? Give it to me. I need more.
Yeah. And Hardison explains that there is an overlap in the London stock market with NASDAQ, and he's just very good at what he does. Parker's like, this is the score, and Elliot's like laughing. There's like Age of the Geek. And he moves on Elliot, and Elliot's like, somebody kiss this man so I don't have to, and like hits him on the chest with the envelope. And there's the chest.
And when I saw that, I'm like, how the heck did Christian keep a straight face saying that? And
he did it because he's chuckling, and the camera's not on him technically. So he says he didn't, and they just hit it.
Yeah, he probably broke. But what I want to know is, why didn't he take the opportunity to smack Aldis in the face?
That's probably the take that didn't make it.
Oh man. Somebody needs to ask you, Devlin, did that happen? Like, seriously. I need to know.
Right, continuing on, because we're almost done. Harrison's like, we're out. This is retirement money for all of us. And it's like, pleasure working with you. Elliot says, no show, one show only, no encores. And Parker says she forgot their names. And they go to leave. We get another bird's eye overhead shot. Then as Nate's walking, Hardison comes up to him, telling him he's never had that much fun on a job. And he has focus issues, and Nate kept him right on. Parker says she's only good at one thing, and he knew other things. Sorry, and she can't stop doing her one thing. It's like, you know what I think? It's like, not really. And Elliot asks how long before he falls apart again. And he says, a guy like you can't be out of the game. That's why you were a wreck. You need the chase. Then Nate gets a phone call and sees Sophie on the bench, and she walks up to him saying he could pick the jobs. And Nate says, my job's to find bad guys. And Sophie's like, so go find us some bad guys. Bad guys have money.
And I love how Nate's like, well, my job is to hunt down the bad guys, not to take them down, actually. I don't throw the punches. I find the people. And then hire people to take care of the problem.
Yeah. So it's like, so go find us some bad guys. Bad guys have money. I mean, she's not wrong.
That's true. But then I don't know if it was in my head or it was actually in the thing, but after that was said, I looked over at Beth, and she had like this little quirky smile and look in her eye of like, oh, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was scripted, but that was
I don't know.
Beth.
That might have been something Beth did.
Yeah. And I'm like, the subtle little mannerisms that they bring, it's hilarious. It cracks me up.
All right. And we also get the Black King, White Knight motif again. So, all right. Then we meet a husband and wife. The wife's crying, and the husband's trying to keep his composure. And the wife is apologizing. And Sophie's like, take your time. And Sophie says she was 17. Sophie says she knows, and she's consoling the wife. And the wife reveals the company killed her, claiming it was an accident, and she wants them hurt. And the husband's like, we can't pay you. Sophie says they worked on an alternative revenue stream. And then we see the team behind her with Nate sitting in a recliner. The husband's confused because he says the judge said they couldn't appeal and what they're going to do. Then we get the most famous line out of all of Leverage. People like that, corporations like that, they have all the money and they have all the power, and they use it to make people like you go away. Right now, you're suffering under an enormous weight. We provide leverage.
We did the thing.
The little head cock that he does. So when he says leverage. And that is the end of the Nigerian Job. So this is absolutely one of my favorite pilots of any TV show I've ever seen. Because you can tell right away what the character arcs for these characters are.
Yeah, and I like how toward the end it doesn't shut the door on the job immediately. It leaves it open for the next thing. Like, they're not done.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
especially
what's next?
yeah. And yeah. And I also just I like the dynamics you can already tell between these characters. Like you can already see like the bickering between Elliot and Hardison, and you have like the Hardison pining for Parker, and you have like the will they won't they with Sophie and Nate. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
sets
kind
up
of
the whole arc for the season
it's like
too.
the way that I saw it, it was more of like you saw the brotherly bond between Elliot and Hardison, and then
Hmm.
the boyfriend girlfriend possibly friendship between
Yeah.
Hardison and
The
Parker,
pining, yeah.
and yeah, and then the kind of dynamic dysfunctional parent dynamic slash friendship dynamic between Sophie and Nate,
Hmm.
and then that intertwining of we want more, we want
Yeah.
to correct the corrupt system, being corrupt people that we know the law is going to hunt us down, but
Yeah.
we go beyond when the law stops.
Yeah.
That's what I think was really cool about this show is they have that, like, the law only goes so far.
Hmm.
We're willing to go beyond what the law
Pick
can
up
do.
where the law leaves off.
Exactly.
All right. So did you have like any other thoughts on this episode or
Well, I just love this is gonna be kind of weird, but I loved all the like different camera angles, how quick
I love
it
the
switched.
camera
It
angles,
was so
yeah.
cool.
The roundabout too, when they're like before the bird's eye shot, when they're all in a circle. I call it the roundy round.
Oh, when they're doing like it's when they're on that pant, it's on a track and it is going
And
around.
it's
I
like
love
circling
that, and they're
them.
in the
Yeah. I
center.
love the roundy
It's so
rounds.
cool. Or as I call it, the merry-go-round effect, which is really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And it kind of it builds
Mhm.
that tension, which you
Mhm.
kind of want more. It's like what's going to happen next,
Yeah.
which I think is really cool about the show. And it's got that what next
Mhm.
storyline through the entire whole show, pretty much,
Mhm.
from what I've kind of picked up.
Mhm.
And it's fun to revisit
It is
the
especially like
episode.
yeah, especially with Redemption out in season 2 of Redemption filming right now. Like going back and seeing like where it all started and having seen like other people's interpretations and going back and being like, okay, like I can see where this came from or like this meta came from.
It's
Because I
like,
know there
oh,
are
I know.
people,
Yeah, it's like, oh, I know that reference. It's from
yeah,
this show. And
yeah,
then they have like the crossover
yeah,
with it was on Psych. Remember, it was like, oh, I know a team in Boston that did it in like 15
the
minutes.
bottle job or something, yeah,
Yep.
or something like that, yeah. And then
I love that. That
yeah,
was funny. And I actually went and watched that episode of Psych and I picked up on it. I'm like, no way. And I hopefully we'll see more of that
yeah,
in Redemption season
yeah,
2,
yeah. All right,
which we probably will.
yeah. All right, so I mean that's all I have for today. Do you want people to find you on social media or
They can if they want to. I'm on Twitter and also on I'm more on like Instagram usually, and it's just my name, Alex Cooper.
Mhm.
And they will recognize just by my name, and the fact that I post a lot about redemption and like
Yeah,
several pictures of Elliot.
yeah,
That's when you know. And my
yeah.
bio says a girl obsessed with a
Christian
fangirl obsessed
Kane,
with TV
Caniacs,
and books
yeah.
on both platforms, which
Mhm.
for Twitter and for Instagram. But this was fun. This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast before.
Oh wow. I actually didn't know that.
As a guest, so this is interesting.
Yeah. I'm glad you had fun. So you can follow me on social, or you can look at my website, which I will be linking in the episode description, as well as NAFCO's website if you want to donate to support the podcast or check us out on socials. And speaking of leverage, you can actually check out my leverage fix, the Hitters Girl, the Hitters Girl's Redemption, and the Hitters Girl short stories, which the Hitters Girl is actually based on the original Leverage, which is what we're going through now. So if you want to read that, my character is sort of Elliot's love interest. As you can tell, we both like Elliot, which is why we both have characters that are Elliot's love interests. So yeah, you could check those out if you want. And pretty sure that is all for today. So I will see you all in the next episode.